What's going on, everyone? So the Boston Celtics are having themselves quite an offseason. So they were one of the teams that made one of the big splash trades. Obviously, you got Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. You got Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors. But Kristaps Porzingis to the Boston Celtics was a great acquisition, right? It's a souped-up version of Al Horford in many ways. Guy that can block shots, stretch the floor, shoot at a great percentage from three-point range, and really should round out their roster nicely. Now, I do think that them losing Marcus Smart really has the potential to be pretty bad for them. I think a lot of people really underestimate what Marcus Smart did for the Boston Celtics. It wasn't even just so much his play. Obviously, defense player of the year, a guy that could really impact on both sides of the basketball. When he has it going, he has it going. Like when he scores 20 or more, like Boston is basically unbeatable. But nonetheless, they thought, hey, this is worth losing Marcus Smart over. And to me, it's Marcus Smart provides more of like just that stability, that leadership, that toughness he brings that Boston just really lacks, right? Like Jason Tatum will completely disappear at times. We have Jaylen Brown who, forgets how to dribble sometimes. And it's just, he was the one constant that you could count on to just be the guy that would call people out in the locker room and bring everybody together at the same time. And just, I thought the lack of Marcus Smart would leave a resounding impact on the Celtics, right? Because Porzingis just seemed like a little bit of icing on the cake. I get it gives them another offensive threat, takes some pressure off of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, gives them some Al Horford insurance and big man insurance, but also injuries are a bit of concern, right? It's something that is huge. But nonetheless, the Boston Celtics pulling off the Kristaps Porzingis trade had a lot of people going like, all right, like that was an acquisition. I mean, some people were pretty mid on it. Like, most, like even experts and stuff were like, oh, this makes them better, but how much better? And time will tell. I mean, maybe he was the missing piece that they've been needing and they've been looking for. Also, you look at somebody like Brad Stevens, he's all about making moves now, right? And he's willing to give up the picks. And a lot of people felt like Danny Ainge was just kind of hoarding them, right? And so now you see this kind of shift in like, okay, let's push our chips to the table. It helps that Jason Tatum has emerged into, the guy that he has. And now they got Jaylen Brown, and now you got Kristaps Porzingis. But then fast forward, and the Milwaukee Bucks go and get Damian Lillard. And it's like, uh-oh, maybe you shouldn't have traded Marcus Smart. Because Damian Lillard in Milwaukee, I mean, even before the Dame trade, Milwaukee had the potential of coming out of the Eastern Conference. And probably we're going to be one of, if not the best team in the league, like they usually are, right? And then you add a guy in Damian Lillard to that who solves a lot of Milwaukee's issues, a consistent, constant scorer, a guy who could close down the stretch for the Bucks, all of that. A guy that doesn't disappear in big moments, a guy that is known for hitting big shots, that loves and lives in those big moments, right? It was like that could be a problem. But also the Milwaukee Bucks ended up getting rid of Jrue Holiday, which Jrue Holiday, it was like Boston, if you were ever going to get somebody to replace Marcus Smart, it's Jrue Holiday. I mean, I literally made a video this morning talking about the Boston Celtics and Jrue Holiday. And fast forward an hour or two after that video, and here we are again making another video about Jrue Holiday because the Boston Celtics have officially traded for Jrue Holiday. And this is massive for them, in my opinion. Massive. So they ended up giving up Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams III, and 2 first-round picks, which I was a little surprised that they get 2 first-round picks. The Celtics have them, right? And the Celtics are going all in and pushing their chips to the table. Like I said, I made a video about it this morning. I talked about how I think the Celtics desperately need Jrue Holiday. And I guess they got it done. And I'm actually surprised, and I think that this is huge for them. Obviously, if you're familiar with me, and familiar with my channels, you know I'm a Laker fan. So the Laker fan in me is a bit bitter right now. The Laker fan in me is rather upset right now because Jrue on the Celtics, if he would have went anywhere else outside of the Celtics and the Clippers, like I would have been cool. But like I said, the Celtics, when I remove my bias and take myself out of the Laker hat, just as the basketball fan in me, I mean, the Celtics were one of the teams that made the most sense for Jrue, right? They were in the market for a point guard. They needed one. Now you have basically a starting five now of, Jrue Holiday, Derek White, or however you want to do that. You can go Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis. That's tough. Tough as a starting five, right? Like, I mean, and now you have the guy out there on the court who can give you the production of Marcus Smart, be a legit point of attack guard, be a bit of a 3-and-D guy. He shot a great 3-point percentage. On top of shooting a great 3-point percentage, he's a guy on any night could go drop and give you 20, right? And now you have a legit starting five that are all five wide, right? I mean, you have, again, you're probably going with Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Jrue Holiday. So there's five guys. And surprisingly, Boston didn't have to give up like some of their, like I thought that they'd probably have to give up like a Jordan Walsh, right? Something like that. And they're super high on him. But no, they didn't. They didn't have to give up anything. Now, they're pretty strapped now, right? The Boston Celtics are, again, they're all in. Chips pushed to the table. It's go time. It's championship or bust. I mean, it's been that the last few years regardless, just because, you've been in the Eastern Conference year in and year out. I think now the loss of Marcus Smart isn't as bad, right? I still think, again, the thing was he was already Mr. Celtic. He was already tapped in. He was the guy. He wasn't the new guy coming in, right? But Jrue Holiday gives you that leadership, gives you that vet, gives you that just perfect chameleon-like player, that blue chip guy. Like, I say it all the time. Jrue Holiday is one of the few players that you could put on any team in the league, and he is going to have a huge impact and be a real player out there on the basketball court, right? And, it's, to me, the Celtics, they're a little top-heavy now, but, you got arguably the best starting five, like, position for position, back-to-back, or in the entire league, right? Again, you're talking Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Kristaps Porzingis. That's tough. Seriously. And then you still have Pritchard. You have your rookie Walsh. They picked up Brissett. You got Al Horford. You got basically, you still have Hauser. They picked up Svi, if I'm not mistaken, and Quetta, right? Didn't they get him too? So, but I mean, like, your 7 guys or 8 guys come playoff time, I mean, it's pretty good. Like I said, you got one of the best starting fives in the league, and then you're probably going like Brissett, Horford, and Pritchard or Walsh. There you go. I mean, that's all you need, right? Especially come playoff time. So they're good. They're fine, right? For the Portland Trailblazers, I find this trade a little interesting. Do they just keep flipping assets? Right now they got 2 first-round picks. Malcolm Brogdon, right? I mean, he could be a useful player. I mean, you're not going to get a huge return for Malcolm Brogdon. Like, you're not going to get a Jrue Holiday level return. But, I mean, he's still 30, right? So he's still young enough to have a bit of an impact. He's a 15, 4, and 4 guy. Shoots 50% from the field, right? Like, good size at 6'5", can play both guard positions, right? Like, I could see maybe them turning Malcolm Brogdon into something for one of these, like, just contention teams. Injuries are a big problem with him, right? He's injury prone, and that becomes an issue. But he also, after this season, only has one more year on the books. And then, do they look to maybe move him? Does the team go and give them even a couple seconds in like some player that maybe makes more sense for Portland? That could be something. And then the other thing is like Robert Williams. Do they keep him long term and have him as like, a backup? Because you got DeAndre Ayton, and Ayton, he's not a power forward. He's a center, right? So Robert Williams, he's 25. He's young. He's talented. He still has upside. He's an 8-8 guy and usually limited minutes, right? Good defender, good shot blocker. He's solid, right? Robert Williams is a solid pickup for them. But do they look to maybe move him, right? Because he's never going to be the starter for the Portland Trailblazers, but he could be. He's probably going to play. I could see him playing like around 20 minutes a game as the primary backup. If I was Portland, I would keep Robert Williams because now you basically got your front court rotation as far as like centers go locked up long term. You're good in that regard. So this was Portland made out, for being honest, right? So you got DeAndre Ayton. So you basically it was a little bit of work, but you basically turned Dame into DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, 4 first-round picks, and a Malcolm Brogdon, right? It's not bad. Which they could use Malcolm Brogdon to go get some other pieces. And if you're the Boston Celtics, you basically got the player that you desperately need. I think Boston's in a great spot. And I think Portland really made out, personally. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of the Celtics trade? Do you think that this is the thing that puts them over the top? How do you feel? Love to hear it. Let me know.